The construction of the viral injection cores was actually exceedingly simple. The difficult part was extracting a sample of the elixir that was pure enough to be effective, but stable enough to be replicated. But thanks to my brilliance, it is done. In fact, everything seems quite in order. The elixir has even been loaded into the injectors, so I'm curious. What's the Ice Maiden's purpose?
We exist solely as narrative constructs in this realm. Our plans mean little so long as we're trapped by the whims of some amateur storyteller. You saw what happened to Melvin?
That beautiful spirit of murder never stood a chance.
But All Hallows Eve presents a unique opportunity for beings like us. The veil between worlds is at its thinnest, but our window of opportunity is brief. Too brief to be used effectively. But the Mayakashi have great power during such times, and combined with the power of the Shiranui, are even stronger. Yuki Onna will keep the otherworldly portal open long enough for us and your invention to escape into the mortal realm, where we will be free to spread the curse of Eldland throughout the entire world.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Just in time. You can witness my glorious ascension firsthand. Tell me, how does it feel knowing you'll be single-handedly responsible for the downfall of civilization?
That was a dirty trick, Eldritch. That contract took advantage of the weak point of any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Reading.
Rulers don't play fair. We play to win.
Well, if that's how it's going to be, then it's time for a little editing magic.
Oh, I don't think you'll resort to that.
And what makes you so sure?
Pride, mostly. You built up this whole story arc, and you're just going to end it in the same way you did the last time a deranged despot took over? Face it, you've written yourself into a corner. You won't end things metatextually, and you've no powers in canon that can hold a candle to me. Now behold, as I assume my perfect form and begin the subjugation of your entire—
Wait, hold on.
Oh, for crying out loud, what is it?
Don't I get just one more episode?
I'm about to condemn your world to an eternity of gilded servitude, and you just want to talk more about Yu-Gi-Oh?
It's a coping mechanism. Besides, it's in the contract, so you have to give it to me.
Fine. Yuki Onna, take a 20-minute break. We might be here for a while.
Okay, that should buy us some time while I try to think of a way around this. Let's see what the last script is. Okay. Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. It's time to wrap up Spooky Month with a little joviality. We've talked about body horror and ancient Japanese culture, but now we're gonna put on some costumes and have ourselves a big ol' house party, and I know just the theme to help. Ghostricks were introduced into the TCG in November of 2013 in Shadow Specters, and their whole deal is just ignoring how Yu-Gi-Oh is usually played and going by their own rules. Aside from being a cavalcade of Halloween-esque creatures, from zombies to werewolves to Frankensteins, their win conditions are similarly varied, ranging from direct attack swarming, to deck out, to just a legit alternate win condition. So, with the season of spooks reaching its zenith, let's meet our ghoulish guests, plan our wholesome haunt, and shop around for what can make tricking our opponent a huge treat. Let's get our game on with Ghostricks. But before we continue, a quick reminder to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content so far. That way you can stay up to date on new releases, and my brain makes the happy juice when good numbers go up. Oh, and ringing the bell is a pretty good way to stay on top of things as well. Analysis videos like these tend to do pretty well, but if you like any of my other series like Field Test and Dream Theme, that's a pretty good way to make sure you catch them, as well as my Friday live streams. We also have a Discord where we sing the praises of the bejeweled croc, and you can always follow me on Twitter if you want to stay in the loop on channel updates and my bad takes. Thank you for your patience, and now, back to the video. Let's start things off with our cast of creatures, and they can be split into 3 distinct categories. We have our level 1 fiends, our level 2 spellcasters, and our level 3 zombies, each of them having an Xyz monster of the same type and rank. There's also a rank 4, but they're an outlier and we'll get into them later. However, something that's true of all of them is their dark attribute, and if they're a main deck Ghostrick, they can flip themselves face down once per turn and can't be normal summoned, unless you control another face up Ghostrick, but you can set them. Guess they're a little shy like that. First, let's go over the Ghostricks that specialize in stalling our opponent. I know I don't normally categorize things like this, but I'm afraid if I take too long, Eldritch will debone me and gold-plate my skeleton so he can hang me up as a trophy or something, so while these monsters are all about stalling, we won't be following suit. Jack Frost is a level 1 with 800 attack and 100 defense, and when your opponent declares a direct attack, you can flip the attacking monster face down, then special summon Jack Frost from your hand face down, basically just telling that monster to chill out. Lantern is a level 1 with 800 attack and 0 defense, that triggers whenever your opponent declares a direct attack or an attack on a Ghostrick. They summon themselves from the hand face down and negate the attack, though they don't flip the monster face down, which makes them a lot more effective against Link monsters. Spectre is a level 1 with 600 attack and 0 defense that activates after a Ghostrick you control is destroyed by an opponent's attacking monster or card effect. On resolution, you special summon them from your hand face down, then draw a card. Neko Musume is a level 2 with 400 attack and 900 defense, and anytime a level 4 or higher monster is normal or special summoned while they're on the field, that monster is flipped face down, but you have to control another Ghostrick to activate and resolve the effect, which doesn't really gel with the itty bitty kitty battle stats they have, but I'd feel lying if I said I didn't really love the effect. Last is Yuki Onna, which is... ooh, that's going to be very useful later on as it turns out. But for our purposes, they're a level 2 with 1000 attack and 800 defense, and if they're destroyed by battle, you flip the attacking monster face down, and if you do, its battle position can't be changed. So it's basically Floodgate Trap Hole as a monster effect, very ahead of its time. Next, let's go over our searchers, because we can't pull off the best scares if we don't have the right equipment. Mary is a level 1 with 100 attack and 1600 defense, that activates whenever you take damage. When you do, you discard Mary, then special summon a Ghostrick from your deck face down. Also, I hear if you say their name 3 times in a mirror at midnight, Joe Konami comes to your house and gives you a custom Ghostrick card. Doll is a level 2 with 300 attack and 1200 defense, and activates whenever they're flipped face up, but doesn't resolve until the end phase. When that happens, you flip as many face up monsters on the field face down as possible, then special summon a Ghostrick from your deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of monsters flipped face down by that effect, and since they're all pretty low level, you don't have to do very many to get what you want. Ghostrick Jianxi is a level 3 with 400 attack and 1800 defense, and when they're flipped face up, you can add a Ghostrick from your deck to your hand, whose level is less than or equal to the number of Ghostrick monsters you control, and since all your hand-trapped Ghostricks are level 1, all you have to do is flip up this hoppy little guy, and your search will be right where it needs to be. Last is Stein, a level 3 with 1600 attack and 0 defense, who searches a Ghostrick spell or trap when they deal battle damage. This seems a little difficult at first in the deck that's all about hiding, but the field spells do an excellent job of making this effect alive. It's alive! Now let's talk about our utility monsters. Fairy is a level 2 with 900 attack and 1000 defense. When they're flipped face up, you target a Ghostrick card in your grave and set it to your field, though it's banished when it leaves the field. Then you can flip face up monsters your opponent controls face down up to the number of set cards you control, which thanks to their own setup will be at least 1. This is actually one of the monsters I'm most impressed with. As long as your opponent's problem monster isn't a Link, this non-targeting Book of Moon can essentially shut off all their effects and protections. It's very good. Witch is a level 2 with 1200 attack and 200 defense. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and flip it face down, which just feels like a strict downgrade from Fairy. Like, I guess if you can normal summon Witch, you get the flip immediately, but after that there's no competition. Granted, Fairy came out this year, and 7 years is a pretty reasonable amount of time to get power crept, but it can't feel good when the new hire takes your job, whichever way you slice it. GHOUL is a level 3 with 1100 attack and 1200 defense, and during your main phase 1, once per turn, you target a Ghostrick you control, and its attack becomes the combined original attack of all face-up Ghostricks currently on the field until the end of your opponent's turn, but only that monster can attack that turn. Now, since this isn't really an aggro theme, I'm pretty confident in treating this as a utility effect, because it'll help keep the Ghostricks like Neko Musume that need to stay face up on the field around for longer. Also, totally digging the hairstyle, easily the cutest Ghostrick. Mummy is a level 3 with 1500 attack and 0 defense. While they're on the field, you get an extra normal summon of a Ghostrick monster, but while they're on the field, you can't special summon any monsters except for dark monsters, which is supposed to be a restriction, I guess. Like, ask Orchist, no one's ever felt like they were playing less of a deck when they could only play dark monsters. The last utility monster is YETI, a level 3 with 300 attack and 2000 defense. When they're flipped face up, you can target a Ghostrick monster on the field and keep it from being destroyed by battle or card effects that turn. Nothing too special here, just a little something to help keep the Ghostricks that need to stay face up on the field a little more insulated. Okay, now let's talk about our win conditions. These are the Ghostricks that will actually help you chart a course towards victory and keep the match from being an endless game of hide and seek. WARWOLF is a level 3 with 1400 attack and 1500 defense, and when they're flipped face up, you burn your opponent for 100 damage per set card on the field, counting both yours and your opponent's. The effective range of damage you can get per activation is hard to measure, but I'm confident in saying that you can easily churn out at least 500 points per usage, and can even crank it up to 1000 if you manage to gum up your opponent's field enough. And while the damage might not be enough to get you the W before your opponent can beat you to it, it may be an attempt to help supplement a Ghostrick beatdown strategy. Lock down all of your opponent's monsters, attack directly via one of your field spells, do some burn damage, then do it all over again next turn. And I suppose that's fine, but what gets me is, why a werewolf? Like, I get they had to keep it a zombie because of its level and the whole Ghostrick thing, but all werewolves in Yu-Gi-Oh!, or Warwolves as they're being translated, are traditionally beast warriors. They didn't even add anything to make it look like a zombie. That's rough. Skeleton is a level 3 with 1200 attack and 1100 defense, and when they're flipped face up, you banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck face down up to the number of Ghostrick monsters you control, and this can get very out of hand very fast. With the amount of cards at your disposal to help keep your monsters from getting picked off, you could find yourself shaving 4 to 5 cards from your opponent's deck each activation, and they don't even get the decency of a Pot of Extravagance draw. I truly believe that this is the best mill strategy in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! There's no risk of accidentally setting up your opponent, and all the tools to stall them out are at your fingertips. And watching your opponent panic as they run out of options is a great way to tickle your funny bone. Okay, let's finish up our monster roster by going over our Xyz. Dullahan is a rank 1 with 1000 attack and 0 defense, requiring 2 level 1 monsters, and they gain 200 attack for every Ghostrick card you control. Once per turn, you can detach a material, then target a face-up monster on the field and have its attack until the end of the turn. Also, if they're sent to the grave, you can add a different Ghostrick card from your grave to your hand, making it a Dante, so it's automatically the best monster in the theme. But seriously, despite their stats, Dullahan is the big bruiser of the theme. Being able to cut the attack of an opponent's monster in half means they can already go toe-to-toe with any monarch, and they get bigger and badder the more Ghostricks you pile onto the board. They're a great monster to have at the helm. SOCUTEBOSS is a rank 2 with 1400 attack and 1200 defense, requiring 2 level 2 monsters, and has, objectively, the best name. Once per turn, you can detach a material, then target a face-up monster on the field with an attack less than or equal to the total attack of all your face-up Ghostricks, destroy it, and as long as you control a face-up Ghostrick, that zone can't be used by your opponent. Now, is it any coincidence that the rank 2 monster has the same kind of zone locking as Ojama's? But seriously, this is a really cool version of removal, and while Master Rule 5 has made it so you won't be able to lock out the extra deck quite as easily with it, you can still put a wedge in the game plan of Pendulum and Link decks. It's a great way to disrupt your opponent like a boss. Alucard is a rank 3 with 1800 attack and 1600 defense, requiring 2 level 3 monsters. While they're on the field, your opponent can't target other Ghostricks or face down monsters you control for attacks. You can also detach a material to target a set card on the field, either monster or back row, and destroy that target. It's also just real flexible removal since your cards are going to be doing a lot of work flipping your opponent's monsters face down, though be wary of the wording. Since Alucard specifies destroy that target, it means it has to fulfill all the target requirements on resolution as well to work, so if you target a continuous trap and they flip it up, then that card is safe. It really sucks. Our last monster is the odd one out, Ghostrick Angel of Mischief, a rank 4 fairy with 2000 attack and 2500 defense, requiring 2 level 4 monsters. But how do we make it in a deck with no level 4s? Easy, you can just stack it on top of any of your other Ghostrick Xyz monsters, which is good because it'll win you the game that much faster. See, when Angel has 10 or more material under it, you just win the game, and once per turn, you can attach any Ghostrick card in your hand to it as material. It's not exactly an easy win condition to fulfill. Overlaying onto an unused Ghostrick Xyz will put you at 3 material, meaning you'll need 7 turns to close things out, but it's a ridiculous way to go for game, and thankfully, they have a whole other effect as well. You can detach a material from Angel to add a Ghostrick spell or trap from your deck to your hand, essentially letting you filter out your cards for more of your support. And if you detach a Dullahan or an Alucard, that's even more value. So whether you're looking to pull off its insane win condition or work towards another one, the kind of support they can provide is divine. Alright, that's our Monster Mash, now it's time to set the scene. Another prominent characteristic of Ghostricks are their field spells, and they all share one effect. They all make it so neither player can attack face-down defense position monsters, but they also don't prevent the opposing player from attacking directly, essentially letting you use your life points to shield your little ghoulies. The first one is Ghostrick Mansion. Their unique effect is that all effect damage and battle damage inflicted by anything besides a Ghostrick monster is halved. This one is your all-purpose field spell, not necessarily helping any particular win condition of your deck, but helping to keep your life points safe is generally helpful for all of them. It's a big house, so it's easy to find room for everyone. Museum flips face down any monster that deals battle damage at the end of the damage step, essentially helping to open up your opponent for the direct attacks of your Ghostricks, though it doesn't provide the same kind of buffer to your life points. Also, it keeps you from attacking with anything but Ghostricks, because I guess they didn't want you to splash any flip monsters into the theme that revolves around flipping monsters, I guess? The last one is Parade, and this is for when you're going all in on the mill strategy. It prevents your opponent from taking any kind of damage, and anytime your opponent declares a direct attack, you get to add any Ghostrick card from your deck to your hand. And keep in mind, you can negate the attack after it's been declared, so you can still get the search and keep your opponent off your life points. And it's not a hard once per turn either, so you can keep grabbing hand traps to chain negations until you end on what you want to lead your next turn with, and if that's not cause to celebrate, I don't know what is. Alright, it's time for the trap cards, and it's only fitting that the deck with so many monsters that flip up at just the right time have their fair share of them. Ghostrick Break is a normal trap that can be activated when exactly one of your Ghostricks and no other cards you control are destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to your grave. You get to target 2 Ghostrick monsters with different names from the destroyed monster and summon them to the field in face-down defense position. This can make kind of a Seer Dante loop with either Dullahan or Alucard. Break can summon back at least 1, when they leave the field you get back Break, and if the second Ghostrick is destroyed, you can activate Break to get back the Xyz, and the process loops all over again. Now, granted, it's not quite as quick as the original loop, you still need to set the trap, and you can't guarantee the other monster will survive long enough to continue the loop, but hey, give me a break. Ghostrick Knight is a continuous trap that prevents your opponent from flip summoning while you control a Ghostrick monster, essentially making your setting effects permanent. And that basically means that, once it's activated, this continuous trap is another hurdle between them and your life points, and they're going to get punished no matter how they deal with it. What a terrible night for a curse. Ghostrick Renovation is good if you need to change your game plan on the fly, allowing you to return a Ghostrick field spell you control to the hand and activating one from your hand or deck. Also, you can banish it from your grave to use it as a rank up magic, Xyz summoning a Ghostrick Xyz on top of one you already control with a different name. The field spell shenanigans are nice, but what really gets me is the second effect, especially in conjunction with Angel of Mischief. None of its effects are a hard once per turn, so you could, in theory, overlay for Mischief, detach a card to search, maybe get another one from your grave if you detach an Alucard or Dullahan, banish Renovation from grave to rank up into another Xyz that floats, stack another Angel of Mischief on top of that, then detach to search again, as well as getting more graveyard recursion. That's not just Renovation, that's building a whole new house. Ghostrick Scare is a normal trap that has you targeting as many of your face-down monsters as you want, flipping them face up, then flipping down your opponent's monsters up to the number of Ghostricks you flipped face up with that effect, so it's like you're giving your opponents a big old jump scare. Not only is it really good at disrupting your opponent, from stopping attacks to keeping your opponent from using monsters as material, it's also a way to trigger your Ghostrick effects that activate when flipped at quick effect speed. Not only does this mean more searches with Jianshi, it means you get to push for your win conditions even faster, burning or milling during your opponent's turn as well as your own. It's not just your opponent's monsters who'll be scared. Ghostrick Vanish has you revealing a Ghostrick monster in hand on activation, but once it resolves, every face-down defense position monster you control, as well as any Ghostrick card, can be targeted or destroyed by card effects for the rest of the turn. Talk about just blanking expensive cards. Imagine your opponent activating a lightning storm set to blast all of your monsters, and then you flip this. Or resolve it before Dragoons hits board to keep your monsters safe. But the value here isn't solely in stopping big flashy plays. It can be very helpful in a ton of interactions across a ton of themes that I couldn't possibly begin to cover. It's really good at making some of your opponent's cards just, disappear. Our last card is Ghostrick Go Round, a continuous trap that has an effect that can be activated during the battle phase. You can either target one of your Ghostrick monsters and flip it face down to flip an opponent's monster face up, or you can flip up one of your face down monsters, and if it's a Ghostrick, flip down one of your opponents. So it works like a mini but repeatable Ghostrick scare, and it also has the ability to flip up your opponent's monsters in case you need the information. I'm not actually sure how often you'll use that part of the effect. Maybe to force up an opponent's monster to make some of your flip down effects live. But aside from that, it's just a nice card to have available to mess around in the battle phase, and that makes for more ways to double up on your win conditions. It certainly helps the deck become a little more well-rounded. So we've gone over all the cards. What's our game plan? Well, while I would love to go down the damage route, we have a prime opportunity to kill through mill, and I can't pass that up. So what can we add to improve our Skellyman strategy? Oddly enough, this is a stall strategy that wants nothing to do with Mystic Mine. I know, it shocked me too, but we need to build up a strong force of phantoms if we want to get our mill on, so the Haunted Mines are one attraction we're gonna have to avoid. Subterrors have a lot of synergy with our deck. The Behemoths and the Ghostricks all share the ability to flip themselves face down, which is really helpful in summoning the Behemoths from our hand, and while there aren't any big bunguses that will help with milling, it's always nice to have a big bruiser to help put pressure on our opponent. And cards like Ghostrick Scare don't necessarily have to flip up Ghostricks, so you can trigger your Behemoths at quick effect speed. Hey, what's that Behemoth stealing your opponent's monsters after you flip them face down with Scare? It's Voltaloo Rick. Boogie woogie woogie. There's also some other supplemental stall cards that are very effective at keeping your opponent off their game plan. One of them that I had to sit across from recently was Toll Hike, a continuous trap that forces players to discard a card to the grave to attack with a monster. So you have to keep some cards in reserve to end things via traditional attacking, and yes, it does stack. But a funny card I'd like to add to the discourse is Quiet Life. You have to play at the start of your main phase 1 while you control no monsters, and while it's on the field, neither player can normal or special summon monsters if they perform the opposite kind of summon that turn. So if anyone normal summons Tour Guide, for instance, they don't get their special summon. And while it keeps you from effectively getting to your own Xyz monsters, they aren't really integral to your strategy. Hey, sometimes it's enough to just kick back and watch your opponent squirm as you bury them in taxing effects. And that's all I've got to say on Ghostricks. If you're looking for a way to make you and your opponent think differently about Yu-Gi-Oh, then give these ghasts a look. They're cute and cuddly, which will be just enough of a defense to keep your opponent from wringing your neck as you keep them from doing anything for the 17th turn in a row. Of all the spooky themes we covered this month, they're the Ghostrick stars. But now, I want to hear what you think. Do Ghostricks have what it takes to dazzle and delight our enemies into a disastrous demise, or are their special effects a bit lacking? Make sure to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to help me out even more, make sure to share this video on your Discords, your Reddits, your Facebooks, all that stuff. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed what you watched, and I'm sure someone else you know will too. I've also got a Twitter, Discord, TCG Player affiliate link, all that good stuff which you can find in the description below. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.
There will be no next time. The terms of the contract have been fulfilled. Now the conquest begins.
Yeah, sure. If you can manage.
Empty blustering, nothing more. Yukiona, prepare the portal. Our invasion begins now.
Yeah, about that.
What in the seven hells happened here?
That motherfucker used the dark contract gate to change my archetype.
Language.
I'll show you language, you munching shark face. Fix this right now.
Oh, sure, I'll get right on it. After Halloween.
You can't do that. Can he?
Let's go.
What?
Without another way to keep the portal open, we're stuck here. And while I would like nothing more than to debone this charlatan and gold-plate his skeleton as a trophy, We can't exist in this space without him projecting us into existence, so let's just go find something on Netflix with Vector that we can all binge. I feel too depressed to do anything evil right now.
Oh, I hear Code Lyoko's on there now. You should give that a try.
You.
That's fair. Well, the day's been saved once again by me, GoldenNova.
You caused all this because you wanted to play more video games.
Never mind that. Thank you all so much for your support through this romp, and I hope you all have a happy Halloween. Bye-bye.